personalities and guests alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Amp2.tv presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on amp2.tv. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ananda Nelson, and I am your host tonight for Tell Us Your Biz. I'm here with Paul Solomon and Chris Farrell, and we have a really incredible, awesome, fun show for you guys tonight. So for those of you who are seeing me for the first time, I am a licensed clinical social worker here in the state of Florida and here locally in Boca Raton. And I specialize in more of the mind-body connection, so really dealing with releasing the physiological stress from trauma or general life stressors from the body and so much more. But I'm going to hand it over to Paul for this moment because I already feel like he's ready to... He's a powerhouse man. He's like more of a jack of all trades, but he's a master of a few things, at least to me. But
so, Hi again, everybody. Paul Solomon with Luhu Advisors. I am a certified senior advisor helping baby boomers and their family members try and figure out how to pay for long-term care and how to protect their assets. As we know, the expenses just keep going up as somebody gets older, and they want to figure out how to protect their assets. So I meet with the families, and we look at everything. We look at their insurance policies, we look at real estate, we look at their brokerage accounts, and we even talk legal matters with them to make sure they have the legal documents in place, because it's so important before your loved one either gets a little incompetent or, with dementia and Parkinson's, that everything's in place for them because they don't want to have to go to guardianship.
yeah, like I said, master of many, many things.
I try. There's a lot of information out there that the families need to know, and there's really not one source for them to go to. Everybody tries to Google all the information, and there's not one page on each topic. And I kind of try and cover each topic, and I bring in the professionals that I'm comfortable with, that I trust, that can help me with their situations, because every family is unique, and they have their own situations. They got family members, they have siblings, and everybody's just trying to butt heads in a sense, whether it's to try and protect the money or trying to grab the money, or there are families that actually do care about their loved ones. And we're trying to figure out where the best place for their loved one is, whether they keep them in their house or whether they should go into an assisted living or a nursing home. So I think we have things in common because, trying to help the families understand their situations, and that's kind of what you do, right?
Oh, yeah. And it's actually really fascinating because prior to meeting Paul, and he's very, very close to me now, I would have had no idea any of the stuff that he does that even exists. So it's really cool to watch him in action with different clients that he works with to really help people make the most out of the rest of their elders' lives and the betterment of the families and all these things. I myself have not worked with too much elderly, so that is where we differ in population. But even more so, it's trying to set up the best possible outcome for your family, and of course, coming from my perspective as a therapist and as more of a kind of like the middle ground of guiding someone through the emotional times, whether that be grief, loss, so many different life traumas that happens over the years. There's just so many ways that people can be helped. So you're looking at two people that really do love to serve and love to help people in the best way that they can. So
is there a scenario that comes up? Is there a repeated scenario that you deal with?
Of course. Well, repeated patterns, addiction.
Right.
So yeah, we
There
live
you
in
go.
South
See.
Florida. It is either, I can't remember the most latest statistic, but it's either number 1 or number 2 in the whole country for people come to get sober here. But unfortunately, there are a lot of flop houses nearby. You know, there's a lot of people that aren't holding the right space. There's a lot of corruption in the, you know, recovery world. But I deal with addiction a lot, or at least the post healing. So people that are usually clean for at least a year end up coming to me. You know, they go through AA, they go through the cycle, they do 90 meetings in 90 days, but they know that they need more to be able to get through. You know, once you take the substance out, the addiction is still there, whether it's the emotional addiction, the pain, whatever it is. When you take the substance out, that's just the first step. Although it is the most courageous one, I would say, that anyone can do. It's the biggest commitment to your life that you can possibly make, is getting sober, especially when you're in that state. But there's so much more to it. I'd say that I work with about a third or more of my clients are in active recovery in the first 1 to 10 years of active recovery. I do deal a lot with relationships, breakups, hopefully staying together, if that is for the highest and best of that couple, and just so many different basic life stressors, whether that's, you know, students through college or in a postgraduate sort of area, anxiety, depression, and usually it's long-term, you know, body issues that were started off as emotional issues that really manifested into the body. So being able to really release and heal through some of the different techniques that I do and that I practice with. So.
Do you see it happening through the family? Like, is it like the parents and then the children then get, you know, symptoms, or I don't know the right terminology, but is it something that's kind of constant?
Well, funny you should bring that up. I was actually talking about this today to a new client. I had her for the first time today, and I was telling her that even though we may not have directly experienced something, because there's so much confusion, especially around trauma, the brain likes to block it out, it likes to forget about it, and sometimes people are confused, you know, did this really happen to me? I feel like it did, but I can't remember. And sometimes I tell people that, you know, imagine if your mother or father was, let's just say, sexually abused as a kid. You were the egg inside that mother when that was happening. So before you even existed in the body, that part of you that helped create you is, you know, taking on that trauma and that stress going unhealed. And let's say you have it from both sides and you're like, you know, I don't remember any trauma that I had, but I feel like I can feel it in my body. So there is actually a book. It's called It Didn't Start With You, and it's about ancestral family trauma, how that carries on. And a lot of people say that, you know, disease is hereditary, you know, it's genetic, but I'd almost care to say that the trauma or the stress is hereditary. That you don't necessarily have to take it on, but you do have to be the one to break those patterns and to, you know, live your life a different way, to really take accountability of, all right, I was given all of this stuff to deal with and to go through life with, but I'm going to take conscious action now to prevent myself from getting sick, being stressed, having mental illness in the best way that I can. But I would say, unfortunately, that is the lesser of the population. Right. But there are people out there that are committed to their healing and growth and awakening. And I only hope that by the time they get to you, they'll be, you know, hopefully not with Parkinson's or not with dementia, but so many factors to that.
It's incredible what I see with a lot of families, because there's a lot of guilt in a lot of different ways from the adult children having to deal with their loved ones. And, you know, until you start really talking to them and trying to figure out how they really want to either help or not help, which sounds crazy, but their loved ones. And it usually comes down to money.
Yep.
And depending upon the seniors and if they have any finances left or not, the seniors usually are kind of, you know, they're holding back. They don't want to tell their loved ones, their adult children, their baby boomer children, their finances, because they kind of either they're running out of money and they're embarrassed, and now here come the adult children trying to have to deal with their loved ones. And it's just amazing how a lot of families, how they deal with it. It's all over the board. I mean, I unfortunately, I had to deal with it myself, and the guilt that I have from my own parents when my dad was diagnosed with dementia, and I had to go through the whole stages. It's about 8 or 9 years of dealing that with my dad, and then having to deal with my mom. So I was a caregiver of a caregiver.
Yeah.
And going through that and the different stages that I went through. And I can say that I have a brother and a sister. Brother I don't speak to, so he really never went through guilt or any kind of transition of my dad becoming ill.
Right.
And my sister was long distance, so she kind of comes into it and walks out of
Right.
it very easily.
Yeah.
So I know the stress and what was put on me and my family
Yeah.
to go through that. And again, it's a different thing, but the same, whether it's
Well,
addiction
yeah, no,
to that. but-
there's so many similarities just in the emotional stress and the emotional aspect of when someone gets sick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, personally for me, my dad passed when I was 20 years old. So there was no, care plan. And we were the only ones, my sister and I, 18 and 19 and 20 years old. Like,
Right.
there was no guidance for us. There was, I mean, of course, he died with little. There wasn't much there to give at the end of the day. But yeah, like, we had to hire a lawyer. We had to do stuff right. We didn't know who was out to try to take from us or not, or what the real intentions were. And I was just a kid. I was like, okay, yeah, you said my dad would have wanted you to have that. Okay,
Right.
take it. And then it's like, you did what?
Right. You didn't know about it until after the fact.
Yeah, and it's the lack of integrity, which I'm sure you see all the time.
Yeah.
And people aren't even aware that they're doing it. Some people are more righteous about it. Like, it's my right to have things go X, Y, and Z way. And also, it's that, I don't want to call it greed. I don't know if greed's the right word, but it's, wanting things my way.
Entitlement too.
Yes, great word. Entitlement's a great word.
Yeah, and you see it all the time, and it's me having that first conversation with the family to see really what's the most important thing. Is it the money?
Yeah.
And they'll lie to me sometimes and say it's not the money, or they'll say it's really about the care. We want to make sure everything is done right.
Yeah.
And then I could see as we start doing the planning, is that really what they were thinking, or does
Right.
it go back to the money?
Yep.
And it's just interesting, the family dynamics that I see every day. With my own experience of what I had to go through and still go through, because my mom's 93 with dementia, or with the other families that I come up with. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. No, I mean, my only hope is that by the time some of the people that I work through get to you, that it'll be a much more peaceful process. But I mean, grief, and especially the potential loss of a parent or a loved one, brings up, I don't want to call it that ugly, because it's not ugly, but it brings up a lot of insecurities. It brings up a lot of unstable emotions, a lot of questions. And unless you're a naturally deeper, more curious thinker, when it comes to death, a lot of people don't like to talk about it. They don't like to prepare for it, hence why they put it off for so long,
Right.
when it's just a reality of being in this human body.
Yeah, I mean, the pre-planning that I see that most people don't do, what they need to do is, what's the family's wishes? What's mom and dad's wishes? And they think they know what mom and dad want. And again, you see it all the time, and I'm laughing because it's the guilt of, I had to go through with my own family. You go to a funeral home to do your pre-planning, and next thing you know, they're upselling you, because they're saying, wouldn't you want mom or dad to be in this luxurious Cadillac, Mercedes, coffin that's here at $40,000 a box, or you wouldn't want to put them in this pine box,
Right.
And then
Yeah.
that's kind of how unfortunately the business is driven.
Business, that's the key word. It's a business.
Right.
But it is.
And I remember when I had to drag my own parents by the hair to go in there to do their pre-planning. They didn't want to do it because a lot of seniors think you talk about death, or you have somehow get involved with that scenario that they're going to die.
Right.
They don't want to bring
Almost
it
like
up.
makes it faster.
Right. So I had to drag my parents into the funeral home to do the pre-planning, and we went through the whole. And it was a friend of mine that was the marketing salesperson there, and it was just interesting to watch him go through the sales pitch.
Yeah.
And actually, I said to my mom and dad, "Let's go." They had a room of coffins in there to go take a look at them. My mom wouldn't get out of the chair, and I'm like, "Come on, let's go. You're not going
Yeah.
to die if you walk in the room." And then, sure enough, I made them have the decision on what they wanted to be buried in. So it was very interesting to go through that process.
Yeah.
But I know now, talking to families that haven't done the pre-planning, and how much the emotions and the expense that they could have prevented.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. And that's why the trend these days, a lot of people to be cremated as opposed to be buried because of the expense.
That makes sense.
They're either running out of money,
Right.
or they don't have that the funds to either in their own mind to do that pre-planning, not really understanding the process. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
I'm imagining, an elder, in the room, like looking at the coffin, and how existential that must be of like, okay, my body will lay there, for eternity or as long as I decompose for.
Right.
Like that must really hit for someone who's lived a very, I almost want to call like a surface level life. Because of course we all go through emotions. We all go through our own mental issues and all these things. But it's a totally different story when you've taken time to like sit down and think about it and, have your own thoughts about it. But
Right.
for people that have just kind of like skated through life being like, oh yeah, I'll get there when I get there. And it's like, it's here. And
It's
they're like,
reality.
yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Should we go for a commercial break?
I think that'd be a wonderful idea.
All right, we'll be back in a moment.
Along the sun-drenched beaches of Boca Raton lies AMP2 Media. We strive to bring rising stars and their fantastic work into the spotlight. From music to art, we have the tools and the talent you need to help you reach the next level. AMP2 Media is proud to announce our new scoring platform for reality shows, movies, and videos. We have the ability to highlight music according to what the eye sees on the screen. Our excellent mastery of music allows us into the deepest part of your film. Our different sounds allow your film work to come to life. For more information, call our studios at 866-224-5422 or visit our website at amp2.tv. Let AMP Media Productions bring your media to life.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Have you ever felt that your voice goes unheard? And you think that you can make a difference if only someone would listen. It's time for women in business to have a place to step into your power, a platform to embrace your hopes, dreams, and your visions, a voice to heal and restore. Your voice can make a difference. We have a platform you deserve to share your story and let your voice be heard. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself the chance to be heard and shine bright. Contact New Dawn Media by texting CAFE to 55312. That's CAFE to 55312. Or call us at 866-224-5422. Your voice can make a difference.
Have you been injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or through the negligence of another? The lawyers at Shane M. Farnsworth, PA have over 40 years of combined experience representing injured individuals and their families. Call us today at 561-272-8337 for a free case evaluation and the answers to your legal questions. Were you injured in an accident that wasn't your fault? Don't let the insurance companies take advantage of you. Contact us now to learn about your options and to protect your rights.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we introduce our next guest, I wanted to make sure that if you are in need of services from myself or from Paul, that you have the ability to reach out to us. So you can always reach out and contact me via phone number, email, and website. So my phone number, Ananda Nelson, 772-559-0175. You can always reach me by email at Ananda, ANANDA, lnelson@gmail.com, and my website, easy, anandanelson.com. And to bring it over to Paul, too.
My best number to reach me is 954-540-6609. My email is paulsolomonpa@gmail.com, or you can look me up at luhuadvisors.com.
And I would say that, what makes Paul and I extremely unique, is that we are really in it. All of our base in business is to really serve people in the highest and best. I know for me in my industry, I'm very non-traditional, but still in a very effective and honorable way. So if you are looking for someone to support you through any hard time, whether that's depression, anxiety, any kind of life transitions, know that there's more ways to do it, especially if you've tried therapy before or other ways of healing that just hasn't worked for you, or you haven't found the results that you are looking for. There are more ways out there for you to attend to these needs that you're having in your life. And I can surely say that Paul can help in many ways that I can't even imagine.
And what I offer out to people is a free consultation, because, people call me all the time and, they don't know what I offer. And once we start talking about family issues and really covering, again, real estate, insurance, the legal matters, and they realize what they have or don't have, or what they understand or don't understand, that's why I offer a free consultation, a half hour, 45 minutes. Let's see what I can do for you. And if not, then I kind of bring you into my loop of the people that I trust. And usually there are other certified senior advisors in the different businesses that they do that I don't, that I support them with, that help seniors.
Yeah.
And that's kind of who I look out to get the answers that I might not have.
Yeah. So without further ado, we will come back and talk more about all of this very shortly, but we wanted to introduce over here Chris Farrell.
Hi, Nanda.
Hi, how are you?
And Paul.
How are you tonight?
We're back together again.
I know, it's so exciting.
It's been about a month, and
yeah.
you guys look great.
Thank you.
And fantastic, and always great information, too. It is. No, my mother passed at 89 about a year and a half ago, and we went through, some kind of difficult times, and all because we didn't really kind of plan. So
to be expected.
And as the saying goes, people don't plan to fail.
Correct.
They fail to plan.
Yep.
So anyway, my name is Chris Farrell, and I'm glad to be with you here. And I have a little store called Cool Antiques and Jewels, and we deal in vintage and antique and artsy and silver and things like that. The oddities sometimes,
Yes.
The vintage stores, and it's fun. We have a physical store at the Unique Antique Shop. It's in Fort Pierce, and it's at 4559 North US 1, Fort Pierce. It's an antique mall. You ever been to an antique mall?
Yes, I almost said probably. Yes, I have. Actually.
It's just Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think not around here, but I don't know where we were. But
Yeah,
we definitely met 'em.
you stop in, you go inside, and each little vendor or dealer has their little specialty of things that they do.
Yeah.
Could be any one of a number of things. It could be crafts. It could be wood. It could be old vintage dishes. Uranium glass. You ever hear of uranium glass? It's a green glass, and it actually has uranium in it.
Really?
Now, it won't kill you.
I was like, is that toxic?
You can
light
eat,
up
yeah,
when you
you can
drink them,
eat
right?
cereal out of it, but it has just enough uranium in it that if you put a black light on it, it has this glow to it.
No.
So it's out there, and I can't remember exactly when they made it, but it's similar to what you might recall as carnival glass. The multicolored glass when you turn it different ways. It has different sheens and things like that to it. So anyway, in the antique mall, you'll find different dealers that have different specialties and things that they find. And there are the, I don't want to call them odd, but there are the more rare individuals who, they think outside the box and they buy outside the box. They like to find World War II memorabilia or just military memorabilia of some sorts. You can find, campaign ribbons from World War II and things like that, or sterling silver or silver plate. Now back when silver came out, only Paul's family could afford silver. So
right.
no. But
we
you know,
threw plates.
the
We didn't say plates. We threw-
they didn't have uranium plates; they had plastic plates. But anyway, no, when silver, you know, it's like costume jewelry.
Right.
You know, when you had real jewelry that only, you know, the elite could wear.
Right.
You know, golds and silvers and diamonds and this sort of thing. Well, then they, you know, they came out with costume jewelry, you know, or knockoffs, and it was never intended to be demeaning to the actual real object of jewelry, but you know, so that the rest of us could enjoy something that looked like it. You know, so you know, you didn't have a, you know, maybe you couldn't afford the real Louis Vuitton, you know, the real Louis, maybe you got the knockoff. But anyway,
Right.
but you kind of get the idea. So in the antique malls, you'll find antique jewelry, you know, and some of it's beautiful. I mean, really, some of the stuff they made in the 30s and the 40s is still around today,
Yeah.
still intact. It's still nice. It's still good, and it can be, you know, not, I don't want to say pricey or valuable, but it's still worth, you know,
Right.
a little bit of money. They have some stones called Aurora Borealis. You know, have you ever heard the Aurora Borealis
The
in the
Northern
sky?
Lights.
And yeah, the Northern Lights, you know, and
Yeah.
when you hold these stones, they have a different sheen of colors all over them. So that's one of the, probably one of the more popular every now and then. So anyway, back to the antique mall where I have my little store in there. I'm one of 40 vendors, and
my.
you know, they open every day, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., 7 days a week. And one thing that we do offer is that you can make offers on things. If we have something for $150 or $149, you know, some dealers will say, you know, shoot me an offer.
Right.
So you know,
We
you
have
can-
no Dolphins book today?
We had the Dolphins books
Oh,
over
we
there.
do?
Yeah,
We didn't sell it yet.
we didn't sell it yet,
Okay.
unless somebody wants to buy it. Oh, we do have a buyer.
But
It's a 1972 Miami Dolphins perfect season book.
Yeah.
That I actually found at one of the many, you know, odd sales that I go to, or estate auctions, or just I'm always out scouting around, you know, digging here or there, looking
Yeah.
through this and that. So anyway,
What have we got here? What do we
I
got?
was say, I'm curious
This guy,
what this
right.
horse
Oh,
is.
The Remington.
the Remington.
Oh my God, yeah,
So
it's
anyway,
on
the
camera.
Remington.
Head.
I brought this in. It's
Yeehaw.
you know, Frederick Remington was he was an artist. He was a sculptor. He was born in about 1860, and he was born in the Northeast. But he was never a very good student. His parents had a little bit of money, but he was never a very good student. His father tried to get him to go to school. He actually wound up going to Yale, and he went for 1 year, I think, to art school, and then he just couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to go out west. He wanted to be where the cowboys and the Indians, the West was. He was thrilled. He's fascinated by it. So he went out west, and while he was out there, he did a lot of drawings. He painted a lot of pictures. He made a lot of different objects of art, but that had to do with the West. And then he came back to the East, and he started doing a little more and like sculpting. So this particular piece right here is a Remington. Now, if this was a real Remington, I'd have to probably have an armed guard over there. And this is not a real one. Now it says
Such a
Remington.
tease.
It says Remington down here on the bottom, but the copy, he died in 1906, I think. He was about 40 when he died. But he had about 5 or 10 different sculptures. This one is called Wild Pony, or the Bronco Buster. I think it's the Bronco Buster, or Wild Pony it's called sometimes. And it's a rider who's breaking a horse for the first time, and you see all kinds of energy here. You know, you can see they like to say that he was a very good sculptor at defying gravity. Because you see he's only got 2 front legs on the ground here, and these 2 hind legs are up in the air. Yeah, it's perfectly balanced. And there's a lot of detail here too. You can see some bullets in his belt right here. He's got a mustache. He's actually got some
He does.
eyes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
know,
it's the
Curtain
face
nose
is
a little
really-
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little mustache
Little
right
bandana
here.
there, yeah.
And you
Leaning
know,
over and
there
everything.
actually, even on this one, there are actually a few fingerprints on here. Now I don't know exactly how this was cast, but there are actually occasionally here there's some fingerprints on this. But this one's really nicely done. I've kept this one. I haven't put it up for sale. I got it. I don't know, a couple 3 years ago, and I found it on Craigslist. Some guy had it for sale, and
Really?
I, quick like a bunny, you know, got down there and picked it up for a nice price. And I don't know, a lot of these come with marble bases.
Okay.
Right.
This is bronze, and it's
I'm going to say, how heavy is that?
what do do you think it is? It's probably, it's probably, well, I'm kind of a weak guy.
30 pounds? Is it 30 pounds?
It's probably 40 or 50 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. The base is it's all bronze. It's all bronze. It's all one piece. There's no screws attached to it at all anywhere. But I brought this in because sometimes, the last time I was on the show, we talked about silver and silver coins and Murano glass, and things like that. So if you have an estate or an estate sale or somebody's passed or you have some things that you don't know kind of quite how to get rid of them or what to do with them, it's just a piece of glass. Oh, it's a fish. Anybody,
Right.
what, $5? I saw on Facebook about a week and a half ago. We see a lot of things on Facebook, but I saw a gold medallion coin, and it was in a pendant. And I can't tell you if it was real or not, but if it was real, it's probably worth about $1,000 or maybe a little bit more. It said 0.999 fine gold, which is as close as you can get to 24 karat gold. And the price on it was $5. Now, you see this kind of stuff all the time. So that's why I say I can't really tell you if real or not. But the caption underneath it read from the person was, I don't know what it is. If somebody could tell me and help me out, such and so, this and that. Well, I shot her a note and said, hey, this, that, and the other. And we set up a meet for a couple of days later. And but then the next day and a half or two, it was sold. So I don't really know what happened to it. But well, I didn't, once I didn't have the phone number. I didn't have the phone number, so all I could do was, it was sold. So I didn't really, I didn't want to message her back. Why did you sell it? Capital letters. I could have given you more caps, but anyway, if you have something, you can shoot me an email at coolantiquesandjewels.com. It's pretty easy to remember, coolantiquesandjewels.com. I'll get back to you. You can send me a picture. I'll be happy to come over and take a look at whatever you have. We also do estates. We'll take a look at whatever your estate is that you might have. Fair and honest, good prices, Unfortunately, right now, if you don't know, gold and silver are down.
Yeah.
Strong dollar, high interest rates, gold and silver go down. So silver is about $18, probably $19. And just a couple, 3 or 4 months ago, it was $23, $24, $25.
Yeah.
So, and gold's kind of come down. It was about $2,000 an ounce. Now it's down to $1,700. But yeah. So those gold teeth you got there, Freddie?
How many bricks you have at home, Freddie?
By the way, did you look to see if you had antiques in your house?
No.
Do you have any that you know?
No. I mean, the only things that we have that probably have no value anymore, but everybody thinks it has value, is Yadros. And that's something that's just passed down to pass down and passed down.
Just like anything else today, with the internet, it used to be if I had one of these in Boca Raton or Palm Beach County, and I was the only, if you only knew it was in my store, I was the only one who had one. But like anything else with the internet now, everybody's got one.
Right.
So I was looking at a little research. These were worth about $4,000 in the 80s. Oh, back to the original story, which was Frederick Remington died in about 1906. He was about 40 years old, something like that. Some of the casts he had were kept. A lot of these that he made, there were only like 60 of them. 60 of this one, 80 of this one, 85 of that one. One of these is in the White House.
Oh.
And when you see pictures of Barack Obama or Donald Trump or Joe Biden, you'll see in the Oval Office there that one of these, I think it's the Bronco Buster right here, is in the Oval Office in a lot of the pictures. Because Teddy Roosevelt, President Roosevelt, loved this stuff so much that he actually had one commissioned to be made for him, and Frederick Remington gave to him. So long story longer is that he died in about 1906. There was a copyright, but the copyright expired on this in 1960. So after the copyright expired, pretty much anybody can make one. And now you have lots of them out there. Now they're good quality and there's not so good, but more detail. Any bronze statue, a lot of times it's the detail. The quality is in the detail of it. When you can see an eye or get a little ear hole, or you've got a mustache with a couple of, you can see a couple of, or some teeth or something, or the glove right here, or the belt buckle, or nice horse there with some teeth. By the way, he was
grazing,
having a little snack here earlier. So, so anyway, but it's coolantiquesandjewels.com. And you can send me an email there if you have something you'd like for me to look at. I'd be happy to. coolantiquesandjewels.com, or you can visit our antique mall, The Unique Antique Shop in Fort Pierce. You can Google it. We're on Facebook, theuniqueantiqueshop.com, and also The Unique Antique Shop at 4559 North US 1 in Fort Pierce. So a lot of oddities, a lot of rarities, a lot of treasures, a lot of things, a lot of this and that and such. And, we have all kinds of people coming in looking for stuff. It's
I have a bunch of those things you call those jobs.
the Ladros.
Yadros, Yahtzees.
There's quite a few of them. Well, there's quite a few. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, there's just more and more stuff out there. People get stuff like they have an estate sale.
Right.
After they take the gold, the jewelry, the stocks, the bonds, then whatever's left, they say just take it to Goodwill or
Right, sentimental
just
more than
auction it
anything
off.
else.
So,
Things were worth 2, 3. I mean, the ones I have.
Well, the bigger ones.
oh, if you
yeah.
had the bigger ones,
Yeah.
The big ones.
Yeah.
boxes of them.
Right.
Because my uncle worked at one of the places they made them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he would bring one home a year. So my mother has these huge ones. I don't know what to do with them.
It's your retirement, Freddie.
Are they worth that?
Well, it could be. I mean, there are still collectors out there for some stuff, but
So you have to take a plane ride.
but
So
sometimes
you have to get 'em here.
sometimes they're like Beanie Babies. Or like
Right.
Cabbage Patch dolls, or
Things ain't worth nothing.
well, yeah, I didn't say the word nothing, but everybody. I mean, there are different people who like
Who
different
collect
things,
all of
who
these
collect.
kinds of
and if you
things.
have,
I'm
Right.
talking about worth here. I'm talking about worth.
He wants money worth,
Right.
not sentimental.
Show me
well,
the
you know
money.
what? Like I say, there are collectors. There are people out there who are looking for that piece to finish the collection. Or it's funny. People come in there all the time. They're looking for a champagne bucket. Somebody calls up and says, "I'm looking for a champagne bucket." Okay.
Right.
And we have champagne buckets, or we're looking for this, or we're looking for that, or do you guys have highwayman pictures? Very popular highwayman pictures. A lot of those are still around here and there. So
Are we gonna take a commercial break? Let's do a commercial break right now. We'll be back. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more with Ananda and myself. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Along the sun-drenched beaches of Boca Raton lies AMP2 Media. We strive to bring rising stars and their fantastic work into the spotlight. From music to art, we have the tools and the talent you need to help you reach the next level. AMP2 Media is proud to announce our new scoring platform for reality shows, movies, and videos. We have the ability to highlight music according to what the eye sees on the screen. Our excellent mastery of music allows us into the deepest part of your film. Our different sounds allow your film work to come to life. For more information, call our studios at 866-224-5422 or visit our website at amp2.tv. Let AMP Media Productions bring your media to life.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Have you ever felt that your voice goes unheard? And you think that you can make a difference if only someone would listen. It's time for women in business to have a place to step into your power, a platform to embrace your hopes, dreams, and your visions, a voice to heal and restore. Your voice can make a difference. We have a platform you deserve to share your story and let your voice be heard. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself the chance to be heard and shine bright. Contact New Dawn Media by texting CAFE to 55312. That's CAFE to 55312. Or call us at 866-224-5422. Your voice can make a difference.
Welcome back, everybody. You go ahead, Paul.
So I mean, it's fascinating because I come up with a lot of families that have, we'll call them heirlooms. We're not quite sure what they have, but stuff that's passed down, and whether it's from the grandparents to the parents, and now I'm sitting there with the adult children, and they have these big cabinets, dinette sets, things like that they think have value to it. And I guess calling in somebody like yourself that would come in to evaluate them, or whatever your resources are, because you can't just Google it, obviously.
Sure, and sometimes the search will give you, won't give you a realistic estimate. I mean, lots of people put things out there and just put a number on it. Maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. If I do, great. If I don't, who cares? I mean, but it's difficult sometimes to know what you have, because frequently we do see people will come in and they'll say, I've got these glasses. My mom kept them for all these years, and they're just glasses. I mean, there's not anything particularly
monetarily
valuable.
It's all
about
sentimental,
them.
right?
And in the world we live in today, the universe we live in today, there's so much out there that you can just point and click and Google search anything in your area if you're looking for something in particular. And as I said earlier, when it used to be before the internet, you had the only one, but now suddenly everybody's got one.
Yeah.
Beatles, a lot of Beatles memorabilia and things and stuff like that probably had some value up until suddenly everybody had one. I got one time, just quickly, I found a Jim Morrison Doors album. I got it for $1. And it had Light My Fire and a couple of the other real big hits from the Doors.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to us and you're under the age of 30,
Clueless.
but yeah.
I'm not that clueless. I've got some.
Most people, not
Thank
you.
you.
But anyways, vinyl.
Right.
Vinyl is still good. People like to play records
It's
again.
back. It's coming back. They're expensive records.
So I found it for $1. I sold it for $29, and but it was nice. It was in good condition. Vinyl records are still good. People like them. The album cover itself is
a piece of art.
Is a piece of art. It can make the difference sometimes. The quality of the record, is it scratched? How many scratches does it have in it? So I mean, a lot of these things that your parents had or you wind up with in a house and you don't know what to do with, just shoot me a picture or an email at coolantiquesandjewels.com. I'll come out and take a look, or I can give you an estimate or quote, just online right there without too much trouble.
It's interesting too. There's a lot of paintings too
Yeah.
that have whatever names on them. Not your typical 5 or 10 famous names on paintings, and there's history behind it.
Doesn't have to be a Van Gogh.
Right. There's history because it's like one painter from wherever they got it from
Yeah.
in their travels. But it's so hard to figure out the value of it, and I get that question all the time. And I don't know if you can help them, or is there somewhere to reach out?
Even some prints too, and I do have. There are other people I work with too.
Okay.
Just I run into them, they run into me, and we wind up switching cards. And if I get a picture and I don't know anything about it, I take a picture of it and I send it to this guy, and he goes, worthless.
Right. Right.
$20. Not. Or he said, the last thing he said to me when I sent one, he sent me 2 words. Not important.
Right.
I said the story, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, because you see it all the time, just from people just traveling all over the world.
It is. And silver plate. There is a market for silver plate, although it's not as wide as you might think. But a lot of silver plate is very nice. And silver plate is simply copper most of the time, or nickel that's been electroplated with silver. Now, it's not enough silver to make any money off of, but it looks like silver.
Right.
So just like costume jewelry is not the real thing, silver plate is not real silver.
Right.
But you might have some real silver and not know it, because we run across it down here a lot, where people, their family moved down here, their parents moved down here in the late 60s or 70s or early 80s, and they brought everything from New York or Long Island or wherever it was they came from. They brought it all down here, and suddenly, and it was the valuable, real silver in some cases. So you may have real silver. You can take a look at it. If it says sterling on it, that's silver. It's not 100%, but it's still.
Good fact.
So
Good. Absolutely. And how can people reach you again?
coolantiquesandjewels.com, or visit us at The Unique Antique Shop in Fort Pierce, 4559 North US 1. And you can also get us at theuniqueantiqueshop.com, or follow us on Facebook.
Awesome. I think as we get closer to the end of the hour, why don't you tell people how you got involved and how you got into what you do?
Well, it's been a lifelong journey, pretty much like a since birth journey. So my mother is also a psychotherapist. So I was raised under that roof, but I was also raised in the active addiction world and in the recovering world. So my dad was an active addiction for alcoholism growing up. So we had both sides very, very clearly. You know, we went to meetings growing up. Like I knew the 12 steps by the time I could read. And I'm not kidding.
You took 12 steps before you took your first step.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and but I had both paths, you know, laid out for me very clearly. I always knew since I was little that I wanted to be, you know, whether we call that a healer of service, of, you know, someone that brings life back into somebody again, or reminds them more so of that inner spark that's always in them. I always knew that was my purpose, but didn't know exactly what the route was going to be. So when I was going to college, you know, I just told myself, I was like, oh, you know, I'll do what my mom did. And she said, no. She said, had I done it the right way, I would have been a social worker, because she had her degree in business before. She has a transpersonal psych degree. You know, she had to climb through all these hoops and do all these things to get to where she wanted to be. But it's a lot easier of a path, you know, especially anyone going into the mental health field. Everyone thinks you have to be a psychologist to counsel people, but that is not the truth. You know, you can be a social worker, a mental health counselor, a marriage and family therapist. You don't even have to obviously go through that rigorous training. There's so many other ways to go about it, but I always knew that that was that path. Now, I did question at one point. I also love, you know, the body. I love how the mind and body works together. So then I was like, acupuncture. I was like, chiropractic was a no, because I was like, I'm not committed to
More schooling.
all of that. And I actually did tour different acupuncture schools and look into it, but I knew that, you know, science doesn't ring me the same way. So I actually finished my bachelor's and master's in 5 years from FAU here locally at their program, which was incredible. And I just knew that my intention going in was never to be a slave under anybody else, but to really serve in the way that people needed to be helped. You know, especially in all these agencies and organizations, there's only so much that people can do.
Right.
And again, right, we're facing burnout, we're facing all these different things, you know, just as much as nurses were on the forefront for COVID during the pandemic. It's like social workers and mental health counselors were all under the same thing. Now, I can say personally, a lot of my clients during COVID, it wasn't like, oh, my life is stressful because of COVID. It was like, my life is happening and COVID's just happening on top of it. You know, it wasn't like a COVID related, you know, seeking treatment just for that. But essentially too, knowing that traditional counseling or talk therapy, as useful and as helpful as it can be, there's just so much more. There's so much more to the body releasing the trauma that it holds. And so what I really specialize in, called neuro-emotional technique, I actually received for the first time when I was 13 years old. I was a competitive gymnast and I had a really bad back injury. Like I couldn't bend over. I couldn't like get a pot to make macaroni and cheese. I was like, I was unwell. And I was like, Mom, like I can't be a granny. Like I'm not even 14. I can't even bend over. So she took me to our acupuncturist, who did a mix of the neuroemotional technique and then the acupuncture, so the body work. And within 9 months, like I was cheering, I was, you know, totally healed. And a lot of it was all of my emotional issues that the back stores. And there's so many other experts out there that say that we hold almost any back pain is almost all emotional.
Is that why my back hurts?
Absolutely.
Mine too.
Yeah,
Mine
the lower
too,
back.
All these years.
Yeah, the lower back usually you don't feel supported.
Right.
You know, there's just so many, like we all carry stuff so deeply in our bodies. So once I had really gone through that, and I remember with this technique, the first round of it I ever did, like I knew exactly what it was. Body was crying and it was like, whoa, it was like, that was cool.
Right.
You know, and it goes so much deeper. Of course, meditation and mindfulness is an important part of the journey and part of the process. Like one can't be without the other. But you can meditate your way through the pain, but there's so many more ways to understand it more deeply so that you can actually heal from it and understand it, versus just kind of like, well, I have this pain. I don't really know why, but now
There's
we
a
can
reason for it.
There's always a reason for it. And again, it's a mind-body issue. It's not isolated. There can be things that are just physical, but with the emotional stressor, it can't heal. But when you take that emotional stressor out, the body can heal. So a lot of times with anxiety, you know, it's like you feel it, but you can't actually get over the actual feeling. Even if the event has already occurred and it's past, you know, you still feel it. And I'd say that I wish we had a true statistic of what maybe, and I might be shooting for the stars here, like 7 or 8 out of 10 people experience anxiety on a normal basis,
Probably.
which is not normal. So, remember, anyone that's listening to this, anxiety is not normal. I feel like society's trying to normalize all of these feelings, and it's not to say that we should feel shame about it, but it's more so that we weren't designed, our bodies were not designed to feel anxious, to feel sad. Things pass through us and they move through us, but it's not meant to be a permanent host here. It's meant to move through the body to release itself. So the journey for me was always in this realm. I'm so happy that I chose the social work route because I really do align with those values, like really the worth and dignity of a person, all these different things. So I love that profession that I chose, and that I also get to go at it from a unique perspective that really does help people.
And it's amazing because every client, every family member is a different story.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the cool part about it. It's not a 9-to-5 job sitting behind the desk and waiting for something to happen. It's happening every time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I like about what I do, because every family situation's the same thing. When I got involved with this 15 years ago with my own family, I had to figure out what to do with my family financial planning wise. Again, the real estate aspect, the insurance aspect of it, the legal aspect of it. And what I was able to also find out and figure out was the government benefits, which a lot of people don't understand, whether it's veterans benefits or the Medicaid benefits that are out there for families. And when it comes to the Medicaid benefits, it's kind of really what I've been focusing on for the last 12 to 13 years, because it's such a great benefit and people think they can't qualify, like they're overqualified for the benefit. But we live in this great state of Florida, and there's a lot of rules and regulations that benefit the seniors within the Medicaid world that I use working with an elder law attorney and estate planning attorneys, and we're able to protect assets that people have to qualify them for these benefits. And if you kind of use the combination of their assets, their insurance policies, their life insurance policies, their real estate,
Yeah.
and then bring in obviously the estate planning to make sure that their power of attorney, healthcare directive, and living will is all updated.
Right.
That's what I bring to the table when I meet with these families. And it's always funny when I said, well, my son or my daughter's helping us. They're a doctor, they're a lawyer themselves. They think that because they're a professional that they understand all these different dynamic things that come down the pike, and they don't.
Yeah.
And that's my issue with a lot of the families saying, well, I'm going to speak to this one or I'm going to speak to that one. I'm going to speak to my financial advisor. Well, what the financial advisor is going to do, he's just going to look and say, oh, you need more income or you need to protect your asset. Let's do that, but not understanding the other aspects that I know that I could bring
Right.
to the table. So it's pretty cool when I sit there with a family and put a plan together and say, okay, don't panic so much. You don't have to panic. There's the stress, as we talk about,
Right.
is through the roof with them because they're trying to deal with their own lives. They have their
Yeah.
own job that they're trying to do. They have their own kids that they're trying to take care of. And then here comes mom and dad as, I don't want to call it a problem, but issues that they now
Yeah.
are thrown into when maybe they haven't. And
Yeah.
they haven't talked about that and said, listen, this is what we have. This is what we have in the bank. This is what our financial situation is. Here's our insurance. Usually as a third party, I come in and the seniors will talk to me as opposed to talking to their own children.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. That happens to that happened to my parents too. If I told them something, they wouldn't believe me. But now if they're playing golf, tennis, or going for coffee, they'll listen to their friends more than they'll listen to me. And then I'll come back and they'll say, you know what, I heard this. I'm like, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's run with that. And it's usually what I've already told them.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting in the world of dealing with the seniors out there. And I love it because every day I don't know when the phone rings what the issues are that are going to come up.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. So if you want to reach me, again, free consultation, you can reach me at my cell phone, 954-540-6609, paulsolomonpa@gmail.com, or please go to luhuadvisors.com and all my information is there.
And if you're wanting more information about any of the services that I offer, you can reach me via phone at 772-559-0175. Email at Ananda, ANANDAL Nelson @gmail.com. And of course, AnandaNelson.com.
Chris and you one more time.
It's Cool Antiques and Jewels, just the way it sounds, coolantiquesandjewels.com. You can reach me by email there. You can send me a picture of whatever it is you have that you might want an estimate on, or I can come out and take a look at it. Either way, I've been from, from West Kendall in Miami all the way up to, I don't know.
Cocoa Beach?
I've been up to Melbourne. I've been up to Canaveral National Seashore. I've been here. Not all the time, but if I
Right.
get enough people and enough things, I can make a drive up and take a look here, there along the way. And don't forget the store is The Unique Antique Shop at 4559 Northwest 1 in Fort Pierce. You can just Google search it, and you can get the map and the website there, too. The Unique Antique Shop.
Do you want to wrap it up?
Well, yeah, so know that I'm so grateful to have been here with the both of you on Tell Us Your Biz. And I have no idea where our paths will lead us, but I'm happy we got to be here together to share all this really amazing information.
Yeah, we're back again.
We'll do it again, and we'll see what else, other information we can put out there for the people.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everybody, tonight.
Thank you.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.